Welcome to another interview of Israel Tech. I'm excited to have here Yitzik Crombie. We're over in the offices in Yerushalayim. We're going to talk about exactly where we are a little bit more because it has an important story to what we're here to talk about. Yitzik is an author. He's the founder and the CEO of Mego, which helps Haredim get into the tech industry. That's basically what he does full time.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about Haredim in tech, and we're going to talk a little bit about diversity and how we kind of can be more inclusive for everyone in Israel to get them into the tech industry. Yitzik, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Hi.
So tell me a little bit about kind of first, what is your story a little bit? If you can kind of define, what is your life mission? What are you focused on?
I'm focused on, make Israel great again, we can say. I think I'm kind of a bridge between the tech industry to the Haredi community. They both want each other, but somehow we'll talk about this why it's not working so much, not in the big numbers, not yet, and why it's so important. So my mission is to help much more Haredim integrate to the workforce and especially to the tech industry, to give opportunities for Haredim to find jobs, to find education, formal education, and to make, I think, just not just the economy better, but also the society. I think it's, you said something about diversity, inclusion, and things like that.
Yeah.
No, you said, more inclusive, you said.
Yeah.
So most of the time when we talk about, inclusion, diversity, we talk about the society part. I think it's also economic issue. It's a big economic issue for the state of Israel. It's a big challenge for the Israeli tech industry. And it's a big challenge for the Haredi community, and I'm working to
Those
figure it
are
out.
three big challenges. Let's unpack all three.
That's
Where should we start?
That's only three. We have more.
All right, where should we start? Where do you think is probably the greatest misconception? Let's start with. We'll go from both directions, but let's start with the tech industry. What is the greatest misconception? Why do you think, let's say, there aren't enough tech companies hiring Haredim?
So I think, I'll be honest, I think the challenge is much more with the Haredi community and not with the tech industry.
Okay.
When we are working with a lot of companies, we're trying to integrate Haredim. Most of the challenges, it's regarding to knowledge, skills, and things like that. So it's not just, they said, I don't want to take Haredim, or I want to take Haredim, but it's not working. A lot of companies, they said, okay, I want to take Haredim, but give me some, candidates for interviews, and most of the time they're not good enough. And when you take someone Haredi who just at the age of 22 starts to work to study tech or computer science, whatever, or let's start from the beginning, just start to learn English and math and skills, and then you compare it to someone who at the age of 8 just finished, his Python class, and then 5 degrees with everything, and then 8200, and then university and everything. So they're not compared to each other. So that's the situation. What we are trying to do, we're trying to, to train the Haredim through our program to be much more better than the other programs before, and to do it with a big scale, with the big numbers, and also to work with the companies. And then we are trying to convince the companies that they have a big potential. So we take junior without big experience, without experience at all, not with the same background of the people who came from 8200 or from universities, but the opportunity that they have, the knowledge that they have, the attitude that they are coming with, it's worth it. And then you need to invest in the juniors at the beginning, at the first few months, and then they will be better than like everyone. So the challenge is the first few months, and the challenge is that the company don't trust. It's not the system, but they don't trust the process that it will be. They don't see the potential yet. And that's something that we're working with. We see that the companies that we're working with them and they hire Haredim, so after a few months they said, they above my expectation. So they said they are very, very good. We see, very good challenge that we missed before you came, because people want to take someone like you, and sometimes they don't know how to look at Haredi resume. I said that I studied in yeshivat, I don't know, Ponovich or Chabad or whatever. They don't know what that means. They don't know what that means to be in university, in high school, in 8200. They don't know how to deal with this. And sometimes when Haredi are coming to the HR, to the interview, so also that's the same. They ask some question about they so far away one from each other. A girl that working in HR in Tel Aviv to a Haredi man that coming from Bnei Brak. They live 2 miles away, but 2 different worlds.
Right.
So that's something. That's one of the biggest challenge that we have.
Let's get into education, because you started saying one of the biggest gaps seems to be an education or knowledge gap, actually. So it's more the greater challenge is that the Haredim need to upskill.
Right.
One of the things that you mentioned is that 22, let's say, people would start to learn, let's say, those that are interested in having a career, and they're already so far behind compared to others that could
They're
be
not
hired.
so far behind. They use the name signaling. Signal. It's not just the knowledge that they are coming with, not just the knowledge. The gap it's also by they are not part of the ecosystem. They are not part of the same group like everyone. So that's something that they need to work on. Okay, so that's something that at the beginning it's hard, but it's not about the knowledge. The knowledge that you graduates of Mego, they are coming to they're passing the test same like graduates of universities.
Uh-huh.
The technical test they pass the same. They pass the same. When they are coming to a personal interview, that's where they find the challenge. In a personal interview, not with a technical exam.
I've tried to hire people. I'm not talking about Haredim, but I would hang out in Pardes Chana where I live, and there were just some young guys, and yo, hire me. I'll work for you for free, okay? And their problem was they didn't have English, and I was like, I can never hire you for free, even no matter how committed that you don't have English. I'm working in English. Now we're doing technology marketing, and all the communications internally is English. At a tech company, it might be more internal communication in Hebrew, but still I find the big gap is English. How do, more than anything, I think math, that gap can be closed in 6 months of intense study in science and all that. Do you think if you can say, education-wise, let's put culture aside, we'll get to culture. What do you think is the greatest gap for Haredim to be able to enter the tech sector?
I think English.
Is it math? Is it English?
No, math. It's not a big problem.
Yeah.
No. If you don't want to be, I don't know, math science or working in high deep algorithms and things like that, so it's hard to learn the math. English, it's a big challenge. Also for me. I born and raised in Tzfat. I speak Hebrew till the age of, I started speaking Hebrew to talk in English and learn at the age of 16, 17, something like that. And I learned my English by myself. So, but it's also a challenge for me. It's not my comfort zone. Even now, when I need to make an interview in English, it's not so easy for me. And I see the people who are coming to our programs, and also after they finish the programs, the English, it's one of the biggest challenge. It's not just to learn, what's the difference between to learn math and to learn English? When you take some Israeli secular, and you need to teach them English, but all these music, videos, shows, culture, everything is in English. Not everything is in English, but a lot of it is in English. So the sounds of English.
Right.
Most of the Haredim, but a lot of the Haredim, they didn't listen to English music, no TV shows, no nothing in English. So it's much hard for them, and also it's much more. For example, to write in English, it's much easier for them than to talk in English. To be able to have the confidence, to have the confidence to talk in English in a team meeting or something like that, in a weekly or in a tech companies, it's much hard for them. They more shine.
So I interviewed the CEO of Cyberint, and he said in the Army, he had an intense 7-week crash course of Arabic, knew nothing before that, and was very proficient, able to speak street Arabic. Are there such similar, I mean, it was just around the clock Arabic. I don't know, he didn't ask more questions, he didn't tell me, he wouldn't answer. Is there such a thing where you can just give someone 2 months of like, we're gonna go from you don't know English to you're gonna learn and know English? And even, is it possible, you think, for if the Army can do Arabic in 7 weeks?
So
I would assume maybe we can also do English in 2 months.
So we use a lot of the technicals that work in the Army. We have a lot of meetings with the people in the Army, in Shmone Batayim, Bizmax, Mamram, all the units, and we learn from them how to teach. Not just how to teach in English and languages, but also how to teach
so when people in the
math
Army
and everything.
are helping you
Helping
at
us,
Mego,
a lot.
How to do concentrate teaching of language.
Exactly. Not just language, also how to train. For example, you take someone to Shmone Batayim, all the big issue of Shmone Batayim, they study, most of the people there, they don't have degrees.
Right.
So they teach them in a few months to be an expert.
Which goes to show what a shanda academic degrees are. But
right, so they have...
you can learn in a few months more than you can 4 years in college.
Yeah, so I have a special technique how to do it. 2 weeks ago, I took all my team to Bizmax in Be'er Sheva. That's the new training base for technology in the Army. It's look like, you see a big building, it's look like, I don't know, like Microsoft or something like that, and then it's an army base. You go in, everything, they're all with uniforms and everything. But, so yes, we do the same thing that they do in the Army. We start our program with 4 months, 4 full months of English and math, and 70% of the time it's English and 30% of the time it's math. And then they start to learn computer science for 10 months, and 10 months they still study English every day for 10 months. So we see that we close the gap. We close a lot of the gaps. We see people that they came for they're coming to the program. They know how to make a difference between G and J in capital letters. That's right. That's something like that. And then at the end of the program, they can make a presentation in front of a lot of audience in English. Not fluent in English, not perfect, but they can speak in English.
They're proficient.
They're proficient, yeah. And especially to write and read and listen and everything in English. We do a lot of things, a lot of the conversation in the program. It's in English. For example, when I send them email for event that we do or something, I don't know, special. All the conversation, all the communication between us to the students are in English. All the presentations in the class, not at the first 4 months, but after 4 months, all the conversation, all the presentation, not the conversation, are in English. So the lecturers, they speak in English because they don't understand English. They speak in Hebrew. They don't understand English yet, but the slides are in English. So we do a lot of things in the program, but it's a really big challenge. It's a really big challenge. It's not so hard. I think that something that we are working very hard to do is to give the responsibility to the students. To say you're responsible for your English. So you need to listen to podcasts at night. You need to learn with your chavuta. The Daf Hayomi in Gemara, you do it in English.
Right.
Listen to everything you do. Start to do it in English. Write a book, read a book in English, and do everything that you can do in English. Not just in the class, but all your, everything that all your day and night to do it in English. It's work very good for what we expect, but it's not enough yet. I'll tell you. It's not enough yet. It's still a challenge.
So education, we've only been talking about adult education. Let's talk about high school and before that. What can the Haredi community do to improve the education so you don't have such a big gap that you have to close? once they're adults?
We need to teach English. That's first of all, and math. But most of the schools, especially elementary school, they don't do it.
Why?
And why? And I can write a book about this. That's what I did.
Well, maybe we can make a segment.
So yeah, I published a book.
Why? Because I think I'll tell you what. I have a lot of Haredi family. I have a lot of very secular family. I'm close to both of them. They're both extremely ignorant of each other. They both make assumptions that I know are wrong, and there's a fear of the other. I can tell you stories that's just like will sound so weird, and what I would like to maybe be able to do is get people to understand that like why there isn't, instead of yelling and just blaming or politicizing, which obviously will never reach anyone's goal, into a little bit of the educational culture of the Haredi community, so people can understand the advantages and the shortcomings, so we can find a way together to be more unified.
So let's start from the beginning. I think we talked about a little bit about the topic of integration of Haredim into the tech industry and what's the challenges and the opportunities in this area. And I think there is a lot of opportunities, not just a challenge. There is a few challenges, but the opportunity are much bigger. But take a look about the Haredi community. The Haredi community now, we are 12% of the population. 58% of the community at the age of under 18.
58% of the Haredim
at the age of under 18. So we are very, very young community, growing very, very fast. 4% in a year, that's very, very fast. The fastest community growth in all community.
How much in 1 year?
4%.
Right. And the rest of Israel, though, knows like 2.1%.
Yeah. Most of the children, men, the kids, not the girls, they don't study STEM, no science, technology, and especially English and math. Most of 55% of the Haredi men are part of the workforce. The average salary for Haredi men, it's around 50% than the average rate of salaries in Israel, in secular Jewish. Okay, we have also a challenge with the Arab community, but I'm compared to the Israelis. Most of the Haredim are not going to the academic system.
When you say academic system, what do you mean?
Colleges and universities.
Okay. Do you think that's necessary?
I think it's necessary, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I really think it's necessary. Yeah, we need...
For culture or for education?
For education.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
We need,
we
need psychologists,
I'm pretty anti-college.
We need doctors.
I think once you get to...
We need psychologists,
I think
we need doctors.
self-learning and programs like you're doing is far better than the bullshit in the universities.
I think that's a different topic, but I don't think for most of the profession, no one find the right path, to train people to the workforce good enough that they can be good enough.
Right.
Instead of the universities and the colleges.
Got it.
But that's the situation right now. I can agree with you that some of the degrees are not relevant to the workforce. People just need first degree to find a job. That's it. So they study something non-relevant for them. And then also we have the challenge with the army, but that's a different.
We'll cover that. I definitely cover that.
And if you want to understand why we have what's the connection between all the challenges? Okay, so why the Haredim are not studying English and math? Why they are not working? Most of them are not working. Why they are not going to universities and etc. You need to understand the ideology behind the Haredi community, and what that means. You talk about your friends and family, and you said there is a lot of fear. That's the translation of the word Haredi. Haredi, that's Hared, that's a fear. Hared of what? In the 2,000 years of history of the Jewish nation, every time that there was a movement that tried to open the community, open the Jewish nation to the modern movement or something like that. It's a different, and I don't know if I said modern movement. If you talk about 2,000 years ago, it wasn't modern, but never
modern for its time.
Yeah, exactly. most of the community left the community. At the end, most of the community left the community, and there is also always a small group of Haredim, of Jewish from the Jewish nation that stayed and then go up again. That was the movement for 2,000 years. And then a few hundred years ago, when, especially in Europe, when all the modern movements came, and people start to left the small communities in the villages and move to the cities, and then Askala, the education and universities, and a lot of movements. That was a very, very big challenge for the Jewish communities, and a lot of people from the Jewish communities left the communities, and that's why some of the rabbis said, okay, not anymore. Let's bring barriers around the community. We don't want to integrate with no one. We will stay with the same dress, with the same language. We will speak Yiddish. We dress like Polish men, like 2,000 years ago in Polish. They still wear the same dress in Israel in the summer, and everything will stay the same. We don't want to change anything, okay? And I think that's the basic thing around the Haredi community. And that's why they said, okay, there is a kind of conflict between spiritual way of life and economic way of life. So if I'll go to university, I'll be less Haredi. So even if I will be much more, I'll earn more money and I'll find a job and I'll be an engineer or psychology or whatever, it's not worth it because I'll be less Haredi. If I'll send my son to university, he will be less Haredi.
There's the same argument for the army too.
And the same argument with the army. And the same argument with the army and with the workforce and everything. And I think that's a misconception. What's the misconception? I think you can be both. You can be gam v'gam. You can be Haredi, 100% Haredi.
If you were to speak to a Haredi family, Haredi parents, okay, and they grew up in the mindset of Haredi at any cost, and you were to say you can do gam, your children, you'll speak to them and they might say can be gam v'gam. They're like, oh, I'm sure, but I don't want to take that chance because it will increase the probability that they won't be Haredi,
right?
Or they'll lose that thing, or whatever it is. So absolutely, it could be gam v'gam. It might even be the rule, even if it's by 80%, 90%, whatever. They don't want to increase the probability even by 1%. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's how I understand.
That's 100%. That's the situation. 100%.
Right. So the argument
they don't attend even one chance of
right. So saying that they can be an overwhelmingly be gam v'gam. Okay.
I'll be poor. I'll stay in the kollel.
Right,
but I don't want to take the chance.
I have a family that went into the army. They're still very Haredi. I have Haredi family didn't go to the army. It's still the same. It's like
most of them.
Yeah. So I mean, so how does even those that love and are part of the Haredi community, such as yourself, how are you able to tell them that when it is a fact that statistically it increases the probability? How do you break through?
So first of all, we do it step by step, and that's the point of what we are doing. That's the exact point of what we are doing, to show the community, to find a way to really do it, and then to show the community that they can trust the process. That's the whole point. And for example, Bizmax. Take a look about Bizmax. Bizmax, the whole idea around Bizmax is to open a co-working space, an innovation center.
Which is where we're sitting right now. We're at Bizmax. We're in a co-working,
in Jerusalem. And to give opportunity for Haredi men to be 100% Haredi, and you saw the people here, and do it in a cutting edge technology, design and everything, same like a different place. So if we find the opportunities to give Haredim the way to do it inside the community, I'm not trying to force people to go to the Hebrew University, because if they will go to the Hebrew University, it's not 1% that they're not going to stay the same Haredi. It's much more, the percentage is much more higher. That's the fact. That's the fact, and we can talk about this why why, but that's the situation. If I'll take someone from yeshiva, Gerech Chosid, from yeshiva at the age of 18, I'll send him to the university. He's not going to stay Haredi. He's not going to stay Haredi. He will stay maybe much more, much less Haredi. Okay, not the same. He's not going to be same fum. Keep all the rules and everything. And that's something that the rabbis, the leaders, the community, the parents, everyone, they don't want to take the risk. They don't want to take the risk to say, okay, don't go to university, don't do nothing. But if I'll open, for example, Mego, what we do at Mego, we open a special program for Haredim. All of them are Haredim. It's separate. It's just for men. There is a special program for women, but it's a special program for men. All the environment, all the attitude, everything, it's fit for Haredi men. So they said, okay, I can go to study computer science and stay Haredi, and then I can go work in a tech company and stay Haredi. And after the first group who did it, that was very hard because they took the risk. And then from year to year, and after I'm in this area for more than almost 10 years, we see the movement are going bigger and bigger. For every class that we open at Mego, so we have at every cohort we have between 100 to 150 students. For every cohort we have more than 1,500 applications. 1,500 applications. People who said, "Okay, I want to go to the tech industry. I want to join Mego to study computer science and then to go to work in the tech companies." Why? Because they see our graduates that they stay Haredim. We're not trying to integrate people to the tech industry. That's not what we are trying to do. We're trying to integrate Haredim to the tech industry and to let them stay Haredim.
So I want to get this straight. You want to, your goal...
I want to mention something. Our biggest success in all what we're doing, that's more than 99% of the people who went through our programs, Bizmax and Mego and all other programs, are stay Haredim. So we are working very hard to make sure that the program didn't change their identity, values, norms, nothing. So they stay the same person that it was before. Okay, so we're not trying to do Kiruv. We're not trying we're not doing Shiurei Gemara and things like that. We're not trying to. I'm not a rabbi. I'm not trying to do something like that. It's not something relevant for me. All what I'm trying to do, that's we are not involved in your identity. That's your identity, that's your values, that's your norms, that's your... I don't care. I don't care. It's not my values. Go to your rabbi, ask for your values. Make your own decision, what's your way of life that you choose. But that's what you choose, that's it. I'm not involved in this. I'm just give you the practical way to join the workforce and to find a job and to work. And that's it.
You're not trying to integrate Haredi individuals into the high-tech community. You're trying to integrate the Haredi as a community into the high-tech community, into the high-tech industry. Is that fair?
Not exactly. I'm trying to integrate. I'm trying to give opportunities for the individuals, and as much as we find much more opportunities for the individuals, that will change also the community. That will show the community that it's possible. When someone in the community he sees a neighbor, cousin, friend, someone from his shul, from the synagogue, that went to the tech industry and came back the same way he went,
right?
He said, "Okay, I'll send my kids."
Right.
And the same thing with
generational.
Yeah. And if you talk about generation, most of the people who are coming to our program, they are what we call first generation of employment. So their parents, their brothers, siblings, no one are working.
Whoa. Is it hard for these individuals to go, like, if they're at a home where people aren't working, for them to go and be studying these things? Does that change their relationship? Do they get support from their family because it's within a Haredi context? What does it look like culturally, internally, both within their family, within their community? Because the same question I'll ask about the army, we'll get to that too, and then also how do the rabbis play a part? I think a lot of people don't really understand the inner dynamics.
So it depends. Most of the people, they get the support from the families. They get the support from the families because we have a very good, Mego, it's under the Kemach Foundation. Kemach Foundation, it's the biggest organization here in Israel that are dealing with employment in the Haredi community, founded almost 15 years ago by Leon Noy from London. So we have a special program for students to the academic system. We have a special grant and scholarships. We spend more than 200 million shekel grants and scholarships for Haredi men and women for the last 10 years. And we have Mego, and we have placement center. It's called Kivun. We have 7 placement centers. Now we have 8. We just opened another one. 8 placement centers.
Job placement, yeah.
Job placement centers, yeah. Not just for the tech, for everything, for construction, for
Right.
everything, graphic designers, everything. So we have training and placement and everything. We have in Tzfat, we have in Tveria, Beitar Illit, Modin Illit, Yerushalayim, all over the places. And we have a lot of other programs. And we have a big trust from the community. Why you have a big trust from the community? Because more than 50 years, the organization, Kemach, and the people, all our programs, show them that we are not trying to change no one, and we'll find everything, all the ways to make sure that the people who are coming to our program, they stay Haredim the same way that they came. And that's why when we are talking to the rabbis, they said, and I'm going to the rabbis, and they said, okay, I'm going to open Bizmax, Mego, whatever, Kivun. Let your people come to the program. And they said, okay, I saw the people who already went to the program and they stay Haredi. Now I let all the others also to come. We are not asking for support from the rabbis. I'm not going to the rabbis to say, give me a letter that I'm okay. It's not the point. It's not how it works. First of all, we ask them what not to do. Okay? I know what to do. I know what it's right to do, profession-wise. Now I'm asking you what to do, what not to do. So one of the rabbis, when I opened Bizmax, one of the rabbis told me...
When did you open Bizmax? How long ago?
2017.
Okay.
One of the rabbis told me, don't make a minyan for prayer in Bizmax. Do it in a different shul. Why? You want to be 100% professional.
Right.
You're not. We don't have a gym, and there's no beer at the happy hour, and there's no yoga, no Pilates, no nothing. But we are 100% profession. We are not involved in the your spiritual way. That's your rabbi.
Right.
You want to.
Guys, so you're saying, I want to make...
I'm not a yeshiva.
What the rabbi is saying is, ironically, something that can bring Haredim together is let's do minyan together, in a sense can also divide it, because everyone may have their own way of davening, and this is my whole opinion on the chief rabbinate, which is just, we have a Sephardi.
They don't trust me that I will be the rabbi.
Exactly. So
I'm not the rabbi.
They don't want them to
He is the rabbi.
Right.
I'm not going to take his...
Interesting, right.
I'm not the rabbi.
I love that.
I'm just 100% professional.
I love that.
That's what we are doing.
When we were setting up before you got here, we were talking about, we were at Monday's office a week or two ago, which is probably the most over-the-top office I've ever been. And I go, I would never want to work there. I mean, personally, Monday's a great company. We're customers and everything, and it's amazing offices. But it's like, I don't need a nap room. I don't need a yoga room. I don't need a video game room. I don't need a VR room. They have like everything. This is like you.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not making this stuff up. Okay.
We're working with them.
Yeah. They're awesome company. I love their technology, and they're great people.
And we also use Monday.
Yeah, we use Monday too. So, and I was like, just me personally, I was like, the whole point is like to trap you there. Is to have you the work to be the core, the focus, and we have everything you need around you. They have babysitting and everything.
Yeah.
They'll daycare. Google does the same thing in America, at least.
Also in Israel.
Yeah, in Israel.
Music room and everything.
Yeah, the whole thing. And so, in a sense, that like this professional only. Therefore, you don't you don't influence. your life any other way other than professionally.
Right.
So therefore, you could probably get the greatest common denominator of approval throughout and across the Haredi world.
Exactly.
Because the fact that you're only professional and you're not religious and you're not spiritual and you're not anything.
Exactly.
And you're just, it's just a co-working space for Haredi.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. One of the biggest placement center that we have here in Jerusalem, it's the Kivun Center.
Uh-huh.
The people who run the place is not religious.
Uh-huh.
The people who run the place, till now they changed the manager. We changed the manager, but so now we have someone who's religious, but the people who run the place for the last 10 years, Yechiel, is not religious. And he has a very big trust from all the rabbis and the leaders, everyone in Jerusalem, and they sent everyone to Kivun Center. And that's why, because he said, I'm not a rabbi, I'm not nothing,
Right.
I just give you the profession. I have classes for English and math, I have placements, I have jobs, and I have training, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm not dealing with your behavior.
Right.
It's not what we are doing.
Right. Now, everything we've been talking about is adults. Let's take the education back and the rabbis to childhood and all of that, right? The main gaps are English and mathematics, as you stated. How can we as society be supportive of it? I have an opinion. I want you to tell me if you think I'm wrong. That the more the secular people shout that they need more education, the more the natural response is to push away. It's human nature. And you can say similarly the other way. When Haredim people, seculars, may need more changes to their education, they were just teaching Greta Thunberg in their textbooks, right? Who's an open anti-Semite and always has been, and now they removed her because of her comments since October 7th. Like you would say, like, I want the opposite of that too. There's a human nature aspect. Do you think there's a natural response when someone who is not Haredi coming and saying, you need to get your education, talking about younger education, not when they're adults, you need to get your stuff in order? Do you find it when those wanting to help from the outside to be counterproductive to try to help expand and improve Haredi education in elementary and middle school?
I think both of the sides wrong. What's going on with the elementary school? That's the government says, I want to be involved in the education system, and I want you to learn to teach limudei liba. Limudei liba, that means English and math, but not just English and math. And then they said, I want to be involved in the values of the school. I want to be involved I want to choose the teachers. I want to do that. I want to do that. And then Haredim said, no, nothing. So it's 1 or 0. I don't want you to be part of our education system. I don't trust the government. All governments for 70 years. It's not specific government.
Yeah. You see it in Brooklyn too. The same thing.
I don't trust the government that be involved in the education system. I push you out from the system. You want to cut the budget, so cut some of the budgets, and that's it. I'll ask a lot of the Haredim. I said, okay, it's not because the government asked you to teach English and math, but you don't think that you need to teach English and math for your children, not because the government asked you to do it, because don't you think that it's necessary for them? Don't you think it's relevant for them? And that's something that's going on for the last, as I said, 75 years since the establishment of the states in Israel. And now I think the people in the states are copying what's going on in Israel, the Haredi communities, some of them. So they said, as much as the environment in the streets are more modern and open and progressive and whatever, I'll close my people in the community much more harder. So I close the barrier and everything, and that's something I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it's sustainable.
Why?
Because I saw we talked about at the beginning of the conversation. We talked about the challenge with the English, and with the challenge with the math. I think that's one of the biggest challenges.
Even if that's important to the parent, if it's far more important that the probability of their child assimilate increases by 1%, they don't care. So how is that not sustainable? It's sustained this long. Why can't it sustain perpetually?
Because I think the question the Haredi community need to ask ourselves right now, especially in Israel. I don't want to talk about what's going on in Brooklyn.
The show is called Israel Tech. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about. So what's going to be when the Haredi will be the majority? Okay, I mean not just when we will be the majority. 51%. Take a look right now. More than 20% of the people at the class Aleph, first grade, are Haredim. So in 20 years, at least 20% of the not the population, but the workforce will be the people at the age of workforce will be Haredim. So it's sustainable for the country that 20% of the population are not working or working. Just 55% of the men are working, and the average salary are 50% less than the others. No, the answer is no. So we can't hold the army, we can't hold the no roads, no hospitals, no education system, no nothing. The budget will have very, very difficult situation with the budget here in Israel. But I think it's not just the budget. Even if you say, I'll bring the budget, I don't know, the Haredi will be in let them stay in the kollel, and I'll bring the money from, I don't know, Trump will give us the money. I don't know who. Still not sustainable. Why it's still not sustainable? The gap between the communities are so big. So we need to be aware for the challenges that we'll face on. And I want to say something else. I think also for the Haredi community itself, it's not sustainable. Because when you are a minority, you're a small group, you can be, you have a lot of gmach and people are working inside the communities and give loans to each other privately and things like that. So that's something that, that's okay. But when you are such a big community, you need to be part of what's going on here.
Right, you're part of the culture now.
You're part of the culture. We need doctors, we need engineers, not just for tech, for everything.
Yeah.
We need...
For the Haredi community. Haredi community engineers.
Yeah.
They need doctors.
We need psychologists.
They need their own psychologists.
We need
right.
everything. Right. We need everything. And that's part of the challenge. But I think there's no reason for the situation. There's no real reason for the situation. Why I said there's no reason? Because we can find a way, and we have more than proof of concept that we can find a way for Haredim to do both and stay Haredim, okay? To go to the workforce, to go to the universities and everything and stay Haredim. But from the other side, now we have a lot of conversation regarding to the army. And people say, I want you to go to the army, we need more soldiers. Let's bring the Haredim to the army, and we will let them stay Haredim. We'll find a way to let them stay Haredim.
Who's we when you're saying? Who are you speaking for?
The
consensus.
The consensus, the Israeli society,
okay.
The politicians, everyone.
Right.
The army.
Right.
Minister of Defense, all of them. And they said, come to the army, we need more soldiers, we'll let you stay Haredim. We don't want to change you.
Right.
So I'm asking one question. When Haredim want to join the higher education system, it's not the army. It's much easier for the system to let Haredim stay Haredim. Okay, you don't need a uniform. You don't need a commander. You can go
home every night.
You go home every night. Right. It's much easier than the army. Okay, and then Haredim want to join the army and want to learn separate between men and women, and we're not allowed. We're not allowed. Just in the first degree, in a lot of conditions.
Wait, why? What do you mean? What do you mean we're not allowed?
The higher education committee, that I'm part of the higher education committee, make a decision, and that's the law in Israel, and that's the. But that's
explain what the law.
Not allowed. The law said it's not. okay, that's a lot of argument if that's the exact law, but that's what the court says, that's the law.
Well, I don't think people understand. I know what you're saying, but I think you're being a little vague, right? Let's say Haredi man turns 18. We're talking about the army. So they turn 18. They cannot go to, their only choices are to study in yeshiva, where they get a stipend from the government, from taxpayers, right?
Right.
Or they can join the army, which is generally, they feel that there isn't that right place to do. They don't have the right circumstances, the community, the network, etc.
Right.
Right? Those are their options. What they cannot do is enter the workforce at 18.
Right.
Right? Which is insanely,
Right.
beyond stupid. And if they wanted to go to university at 18, can they?
No.
No. So their only choices, they're literally trapped in
Or you go to the army, or you stay till the age of 26.
universities.
No university.
No, yeah, kola.
Kola.
Sorry, yeshiva. Full-time yeshiva.
Full-time yeshiva. You're not allowed to do anything.
All right. The conversation.
He said, I'm not going to go to the army, not at the age of 26. No, it don't
It's
matter.
it's so dumb. Just let me ask you this, okay? Okay, I have some follow-up questions, so bear with me. What percent of those of let's say Haredi men, let's go with men because women are much higher in the workforce. Haredi men go to Kollel after 18.
After 18, most of them are going to Kollel.
Yeah.
Most of them.
About what
90%.
90%, and the other 10 will go.
And then after age of 26, 55% of them are going to the workforce, and 45% stay in the Kollel.
Do they still get government stipends after 26 or no?
Yeah, but it's a small amount.
It's okay.
If you want,
which, by the way, just economically causes a problem because many of these young men that are building
It's
families,
not-
they're
the
working
problem.
under the table because the government won't let them.
Right.
Now, okay, if
But not in the big
Conversa-
numbers. It's not.
right, if Haredim are having conversations amongst themselves, what does it look like when they talk about, hey, we're trapping our men till they're 26 with absolutely no skills to earn a parnassah, to earn a living? Let's put the army aside. Do they support this? Or do you think if there was a vote just for Haredim that would say, at 18, you can do whatever you want?
A lot of them.
Or would you say the large majority would support that?
Yeah.
So what is it? Is this some fantasy? What is it? Because is it because some people try to equate Torah learning with with the army, so therefore you have to do one or the other?
I can say that
if Haredim are against it, the overwhelming majority of the Israeli public are against paying for someone to go 26 and not skilling up to improve the economy and their career and
Yeah,
for
but
their
they
families.
said, I don't want people to. It's not fair that Haredi men at the age of 18 will go to work or university, and the Israeli secular or non-Haredi will go to the army and spend 3 years in the army.
So
it's
we've
not
equated.
fair. I want them to go to the army, but they said, okay, anyway they're not going to the army, so let
Right.
them go to work. So that's the agreement. And before October 7, there was almost a consensus in the Israeli society that at least they go to the
At least go to work and then
At least go to work.
and we'll solve the army thing in the
and
time
pay
being.
and pay taxes
instead
for
of receiving taxes.
pay taxes for the army. At least you will bring the money for the army. You're not serving the army. Now what we're saying, you're not in the army, you're not in the economic system, you're not in the academic system, no nothing. So that's the situation. That's very hard situation. On Twitter a few days ago, that there is one suggestion from the government that Haredi men, if you're not going to the army till the age of 40, you will stay in the kollel.
Oh my God, it's like a prison.
So go to the army. That's what they said. You don't want to go to the army? Okay, you want to invest all your life of learning? Don't make a shtick till the age of 26.
Oh,
you will stay in the army.
They're calling the bluff.
Yeah.
They're calling the bluff.
They're
saying, oh, you really want to? Is that the lifestyle you want well into adulthood? Do it well into adulthood.
Right.
And then
If
people
not, go to the army.
And so this person thinks it will encourage far more people going to the army.
That's what they think.
But I don't think it will happen because 18-year-olds they don't think that far ahead.
Right.
They just, that's why they smoke, they make them decisions, they drive fast.
They will say, okay, I'll
They'll
stay.
say, yeah, things will get better, I'll figure it out, the law will
The
change.
government will change, and then they will change.
This is how young people are. It's not going to work. I understand.
Yeah.
They're not, They're not as incentivized.
Now I need to stay
the
till
same
the
way as a 35-year-old.
Now I need to stay till the age of 26. Okay, I'll wait 8 years, and we'll see what's gonna be in 8 years. Someone will change the law.
long.
So Haredim are not going to the army, and we talk about the workforce, but not why don't they talk to the why don't they go to the army? So we can say because they don't want because of the culture and everything. So the people from in the army and the Minister of Defense, they said, I'll let you stay with your own culture, even if you go to the army. So I'm asking...
Is this new just since October 7th?
No, it's always. That was always. So
But now there's a need for soldiers.
Now we have a big need for soldiers. So I'm working now on the side of Mego and Bizmax and everything on a new project. It's called Tzav HaSha'ah. Tzav HaSha'ah. It's actually to do the same thing that we are doing in the workforce with the Haredim, to do it with the army.
But does that mean you need to
So
start
define the
Do you need to
path
start in high
and
school?
do marketing and do to work with the individuals and let them find a way to join the workforce, to join the army. I'm sorry, to join the army and stay Haredim.
When do they start? What age are you starting?
We started the last few days.
Oh, okay.
It's bad news. Bad news.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. We just published the website with all the paths.
What's your first course to action?
I think that there is a lot of Haredim that want young Haredim men at the age of 18 or 20. They are not studying yeshiva. They left the yeshiva. I'm not talking about always the arguments say, but we need the limud Torah. We need the yeshivot. Right, we need the yeshivot. So the people who want to stay in yeshiva and learn Torah, they will learn Torah. But you have at least 30%, between 25 to 35% of the Haredi men are not studying in yeshiva. They are not studying yeshiva. They are not even registered in yeshiva.
What are they doing?
So some of them are working, some of them are studying, some of them don't do nothing. I don't know, a lot of them. So we have the numbers and everything. Why don't they go to the army? They are not study Torah. Why don't they go to the army? Because they don't find a way to go to the army. They don't know. It sounds stupid, but even if they said you'll find someone, ask him, why don't you go to the army? He said, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. What should I do? I want to join the army. What should I do?
Right.
Where should I go?
How do
Who should I call? How do I do it?
Right.
I don't have the information. I don't know. As I said, I have the army have special program for Haredim, but they don't know about them. They don't do marketing. They don't do nothing. They said,
Can't
okay,
they
you should come.
I know the American military. They'll go to like job shows, and they'll join there. And other times where they'll rent a booth, or maybe they used to at least go to high schools and things like that. And why not set up a stand in Yerushalayim and Bnei Brak and in
That's
the
what
things?
we're doing.
That's what you're
That's
doing. Literally
exactly
set
what
up
we're
a
doing.
stand. You're interested in joining the army? You put a design.
Exactly.
So that literally go into the community, all the paperwork ready. Let's see if this might work.
Exactly.
For you.
Exactly. People they don't understand why.
I love that you're circumventing the politicians, the rabbis, the family, everyone. It's kind of how I think of business. You just go straight to the person you want to talk to.
Exactly.
I don't like the power players. I don't like the middlemen. Everyone's trying
That's exactly what
trying
we're
to
doing.
force
I'm
their
not working
political opinions and their
I don't
ideology
care.
and everything.
That's the whole point of what we are doing. The
Love
whole
it.
point is for 20 years, the Israeli community, the Israeli society have a big argument about the Haredim in the army, Shivyon Banetel, and no one do nothing with the individuals. And he said, I'll make a new law that 20% of the Haredim will go to the army. Okay, and then what?
Right.
You make a law, but then what? I can make a law that 80% of the Haredi men will join the workforce. And then what? I can say, I need 20% of the Haredim will be doctors. And then what? What do you do with this?
Right.
You need to work with individuals and give them an opportunity and give them the knowledge and force them to do it.
Do you think it's because they don't see them as
they see them
individuals?
As a group. Right.
That there's a lack of individuality.
Right. I'm working with individuals. I'm not working with the groups. I'm not working, but also, you said about the state. In the state, because to serve in the army, it's not mandatory.
Right.
So they need to work to go to the communities and convince people to join the army. Here in Israel, for example, in Tel Aviv, no one need to try to convince people to join the army. Everyone are joining to the army, so that's the way. So you don't need to do a special, special thing to convince the people. Not just to convince, to show them the way. But if you need to work with the Haredi community, unless it will be mandatory, it's not going to be mandatory in the short future. I don't see I don't see it happen. We need to help them find a way to do it.
It will not be mandatory because the community won't receive the force on them, and that there aren't the means to even.
Right. And what they said, and I'll tell you what they said. They said, as we said before, I want them to stay Haredim. And then the army said, but we need soldiers, so we will find you the way to stay Haredim. I just said, I don't believe in you. I don't believe you. Why? Let's see what's going on in the academic system. Let's see what's going on in the academic system. You said, I want much more Haredim to join the academic system. And I'll let them stay Haredi. I just want them to be doctors. I don't want to change them. I want them to join the universities. I want them to be engineers, doctors, psychologists, everything. And what happened? After a few years, some groups in Israel, like Shdulat Anashim and some professors from universities, etc., came to the court against the Haredim and said, we are not Iran. We are not, it's against our values to let men and women learn in separate classes. It's not the modern values, it's not the progress, and that's that, blah, 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 blah. And the court says, okay, we're not allowed to Haredim to learn separately, just in the first degree, not in the second degree, and just in colleges and not in universities.
Do you think it's intentional to keep them out? Because I know there are a lot of religious people, they'll say this, I don't want to mention a political party, but like they're against, at least it used to be, I can't speak since October 7th, against Haredim joining the army because they're worried that the culture may become less secular or exposed to include more Judaism. So,
that's that. But
so wait, hold on. No,
I'm two ways.
Right.
If you want them to stay, So I think now you find the exact point of everything of all our conversation. That's the right question. You want to stay. You want to integrate Haredim to the workforce. You want to integrate Haredim to the academic
system. But many don't. You're saying people say
everyone,
they will, but they won't.
They don't want
to?
Said it's important, but I'm afraid that the Haredim said, if I'll join the army,
I'll become secular. And the secular will say, if they join, my kid may become exposed to religion.
Right. So that's the problem, and we need to find a way. To understand that. I think in Israel, it's much more comfortable and how to understand this situation than, for example, in the States. Why? Even the word. Take a look we're talking about integration of Haredim into the workforce. In Hebrew we have chevra. What's that mean, chevra?
Company, corporation.
Or
chevre, like a group of friends.
Society.
Chevra
Haredit. Right. And chevra, that's the same word. In English we have society and we have company. I'm part of the company, I'm not part of the society. I have my own society, I have my own group. I live in Brooklyn, in Crown Heights, in Williamsburg, in Borough Park, whatever. And I'm working in Manhattan with someone, Afro-Americans and whatever, all type of religious and, and everyone has his own values and norms and holidays and everything. And I'm not trying to convince you to be like me. The sick Indian with the tarbush on the head, you're not trying to convince the Belzer Chassidish from Borough Park to wear the same Streimel
or Bashik, yeah.
I'll do my own profession, you'll do your own profession, we can work together, I'll eat my kugel and you will eat your, from
lentils.
Whatever you bring, and we'll work together, and that's it. And in Israel, it's not the way. In Israel, we are all Israelis. The Kurituch, that's something that started 75 years ago when it was necessary because a lot of immigrants came here after the war. From Yemen, from Morocco, from Hungary, from Germany, from Poland, from the States, from Chile, from Lebanon, everyone came with his own, culture, and it was really important to build an Israeli culture. So they said, okay, there's what you bring from home, you live at home. now we bring Israeli culture. And the Haredi said, no, we don't want to bring Israeli culture. We want to stay Haredi culture. And after 75 years, we're still with the same conversation. And I said, let's forget about Israeli culture. Forget about Israeli culture. Israeli culture, that's great, but forget about the Kur Hituch. I will stay Haredi, and I have my own way of life, and I'll go to university, and let me do it my own way. It's not your... I don't care what you think about if it's right or wrong for me to study in a separate class between men and women. And I think the Haredim need to say the same thing. I can't say I'm not going to don't be involved in my values, but I'm trying to be involved in your values. So I think all the Israelis that listening for us right now, they will say, yeah, but you're not letting me get married or divorced. Instead, that's in the Rabbanut. You're not letting me drive in the, not drive, but public transportation in Shabbat. Kashrut, a lot of things that you say that's the way to do it. If you said everyone have his own way to live, and I'm not going to be involved in that, and you have some major values that's for everyone, okay, and everyone have his own duties, and we're not trying to convince and to influence other companies, communities to be like us. That should be both way. That should be both way, and I think that will really change the atmosphere, and I think that's something that we can talk about this, but it's not going to work when we will talk about this. It will be changed when we will change the reality, like when when a lot of Haredim will be in the tech industry, and they will work, and they will be good employees, and they will have they will be managers, and they will find, the individuals, as we said before, the individuals will find a way to work together and to know each other, and to build the trust that the secular will understand that Haredi didn't came to change his own way of life, and the Haredi will see the same thing. So that will open the way to a lot of other Haredim to be there, and then it will open the second generation will understand of the Haredim, will be much more aware for the importance of teaching English and math in elementary school, and that will be the process. And that's what I believe will make Israel great again.
Kind of one thing I want to go back on, just spend a little time on, is the rabbis in the Haredi community. The Israeli chief rabbi said, we'll leave Israel before we join the army, which no one's going to listen to him. What is the relationship for secular people to understand that gets so outrageous when they hear outrageous comments said by a rabbi that they have no idea who they are and who their followers are? And how much should people take into account? What role do the rabbis play in the Haredi community when it comes to employment or the army?
Depends which rabbi and depends which community. But I think a lot of Haredim understand that, for example, when the chief rabbi said that we will leave Israel, it's not what we think. Okay?
Yeah, I know it's not. Unfortunately, he grew up in a political home.
Right.
I think that was the big mistake.
Right. It's not, I don't think it was a mistake. He said the leaders now, the rabbis, are very afraid about the yeshivot. So if you say, I want your Haredim join the army, we'll find a way. But it's not going to be against the yeshivot. We're not going to close the yeshivot. We're not going to take people from the yeshivot out to the army. And because that's very important. That's the most important thing in the Haredi community, the yeshivot. Okay, that's what brings us to Israel. That's what keeps the Jewish nation alive for 2,000 years. We are not just, a state for the Israelis, state for the Jewish nation. We are the Jewish nation. What that means to be Jewish? So you can say what that means to you. I can say what that means to me. But of course, for the rabbis, to be Jewish, that's to learn Torah. And without the yeshivot, there's no way to keep the Jewish nation. So that's why they fight very hard against the idea of closing the yeshivot. Okay, and they go extremely to the
to the other way
to keep it like that. But as I said before, we are working with the individuals, and also a lot of the rabbis are working with the individuals. So leader of the groups, they say something to the group, and they say different thing to the individuals. So they said that's the norm for everyone. But if you ask me privately, personally, I'll give you a different answer. A lot of rabbis
is it
walk
double
like that.
speak?
No, it's not the double speak.
Is it double speak, or is that there's like here's a rule and then there are obviously exceptions? Every person is different.
Yeah. Every
So
person
like
is
this
exception.
would be better general for society. When there are many individuals go to the army or go do this or it's not right for you or you don't like
Yeah,
it or whatever.
a lot of rabbis, for example, said we are against the academic system. Don't go to academic system. But then they say, but when a lot of individuals they are coming and they said, okay, and also it's a different how you ask the question. But if you say, okay, I'm 18 years old, I don't know what to do, I want to go to university. Should I go to university? Say no. But if you go to the rabbi and said, I want to be psychology, and I think I can find a job somewhere, but in order to find a job, I need to go to university.
Right, don't go to university.
I need to go to university, and then I'll find a job. That's the way to your job.
But
okay,
this is my advice for everyone. If you don't go to college and have a clear path that it's going to earn you more money and this and that, don't go to college. It's not
so the rabbis agree with you.
So
So a lot of the time, it depends on the question, and also depends on the individual. Two people can come with the same question to the same rabbi, and get a different answer.
Right.
Because one of them, the rabbi understand and believe that he can stay Haredi, is strong enough to be in university, and the other are not. So we also working with individuals. We are not
how
trying
can you get the rabbis on board?
They're not.
To promote either entering the workforce more or the army.
No, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Why?
They
not because they can't take the risk to say to the community,
right?
Go to the workforce. I'm sure that everything will be okay.
Because of that.
They can't.
Because they can't. Because of the risk and this and that. And I understand it may have other implications that they don't intend for the community. I understand that. I don't want to get political, but I'm going to not get political, just policy. Can the Haredi politicians therefore also can't say that?
No one listening for them.
No one's listening to them no matter what.
Haredi political leaders, they like lobbying. They do lobbying for the rabbis or for the community. They're not the leaders.
Right.
They're not making they're not decision makers.
That's what I'm saying. Because the rabbis can't, therefore they can't say it either. But no one listens to them. It's just an extension of politics. Okay.
There's no way that they would say something, the opposite than what the rabbi said. So they're just in between the rabbis to the government.
I've been working on this argument with a Haredi family member of mine who's against going to the army. And he said, kind of actually what you said, it was about the supporting the yeshiva. To go to the yeshiva and the yeshiva institution is very important, blah, blah, blah. And I'm all for it. Obviously not at the expense of having an insufficient military, but I said to him, and I want you to critique my argument, that to have strong and successful yeshivot, you can't be dependent on the government. Well, we need our Haredim to be able to become their own entrepreneurs, build their own wealth within the Haredi community to fund their own yeshivot. Because the government won't do this forever, especially as the population grows. And you'll then always have to answer to the government as opposed to answer to your own community. What do you think? Do you think that the best way to strengthen the yeshivot is actually to have more entrepreneurship and wealth, not necessarily entrepreneurship, but let's say wealth within the community so they can build their own and be more self-sufficient.
100%. 100%.
Do you think Haredim would agree with what I just said?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's something that also the political leaders are talking about this right now.
So they listen to me.
Yeah, they're listening
Sure.
to you. Regarding to the army and everything, and they said, okay, cut the budget. We'll figure it out. You don't if the reason that you said or the way to find it, you need to find a way to keep the yeshivot. And at the time that you said I need people to the army and all the argument with this, it's to cut the budget for the yeshivot. So cut the budget for the yeshivot. So don't fund your budget.
And then wait, Haredim leadership are saying this quietly?
Yeah.
And they're saying this quietly, you'll cut it, and then
we'll find a way.
We'll find the way for the money, and
way.
we'll navigate the people into the army and the people that they feel more comfortable with going into the army and the workforce.
Right.
Because they can't say it out loud, and they can't say, they'll say use the economic term.
And I think it's right. And I think if you are...
But at the same time, like all politicians, they may publicly scream about it.
What they said publicly and what they said...
No, I know, I understand it.
That's
I've learned this about it. Everyone in politics, especially Israeli politics, they yell and they're assholes to each other, and they're sitting down and having lunch, and they're at their kids' weddings and all of that, and it's all shtick.
I know, that's... Yeah, I think, again...
Does the Haredi public know this?
What? That they say different...
that actually they're totally cool with cutting the budget?
Yeah.
Okay, do you think the Haredi younger generation, let's say the teenagers in high school, do they internalize that the probability of them going to the army is much higher than it was, let's say, people that are a couple years older than them? Since October 7th, because the growing population, economically, welfare, that they're like, okay, is it sinking into the 9th grader that like, oh, in 4 years I may be going into the army?
No, I don't think that they even think about that. They study in Talmud Torah. They are not connected to the internet, or they connect to the internet, but not to social media and things like that. So that's not what make them, care about. But I myself, I'm really hope that in the first few months and especially in a few years, we'll see a big growth in the numbers of Haredim who joined the army.
Yeah.
But not just at the late ages of and things like that. Also at the age of 18,
to make it part of the culture.
To convert and do it. And also, as we'll see, much more people go into the workforce and to the education system and to the tech industry.
What would you say to a young Haredi person, maybe in their late teens, maybe 17, 18, about going into they're worried about going into the army or university or into high tech in general because they're worried about assimilation? What would you say to that individual?
I said there is a lot of opportunities right now for Haredim, for all the ways that you talked about, for the education, for the employment, for the army and everything. And they can be sure, or say to the individual, you can be sure that you'll find a way to stay Haredi and do it with your own way of life, with your own values and culture and everything, and do both. Right. There's no conflict between spiritual way of life to economic way of life.
Right. And what about for, let's say, the Haredi tech entrepreneur that would be interested or want to hire Haredim, they wouldn't know how, just like a Haredi may not know how to go to the army or how do I join the workforce. What would you say to them that they're a little, let's say, they don't know how to hire Haredim, but also they're a little worried about them, how will it change the culture? The culture of my company is really great and we're happy with it, and obviously it's a very different culture. What would you say to them?
So we have thousands of graduates who are ready to join the workforce, and I can make a connection between all the companies that want to hire Haredim and they don't have experience with hiring Haredim, with the companies that are already hire Haredim, and it's above the expectation. They are very, very good employees and they're working good, and no one changed the culture, and they nice persons and everything, and they can be sure that it's worth it.
How would they go about if they would think that it's worth it and they would like to help society or hire Haredim? What would be the first? What do they do? They don't have any Haredi connection.
So they can connect to Mego. Mego, it's one of the biggest program that we have right now to integrate Haredim to the workforce. We have hundreds of students right now in the program. We start with English and math and then computer science, and then we're working with them as a boot camp, 3 months that they're already programming and develop softwares, and then we help them to find the jobs. We have hundreds of graduates, as I said, that waiting for placements. Some of them are working, some of them are waiting for placements. We have the second cohort will finish in the end of May, and then we have another cohort, and then we'll finish the studies in the end of December. But we have a lot of students over there, and also I'm asking people who want to volunteer to be a mentor, to give lectures, to help Haredim in the HR, interview simulation and things like that. So we have a lot of volunteers from the tech industry that come into the program to help us, and we really appreciate that people come help us in a mission.
So if those want to, they can reach Mego. Is it cool if we put your information in the chat? They can reach out to you if people are looking to either work with, hire Haredim, or get involved in bringing the different communities together. And if Haredim want to get involved and see how they can join the army, get into the workforce, learn and train, and get the education that they need as the workforce evolves and becomes more technical, that they can also do that through Mego and also through you.
Sabasha, yeah.
Awesome.
And through me, yeah.
So make sure you follow Mego and Yitzchak. We'll put everything down in the description section. And give Israel Tech also a follow too. Thank you so much for hosting us.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work and what you're doing for Am Yisrael and for our society.
Thank you.
We need it very much.
It's really interesting.